and I'm surprised that they didn't. Let's move on to the Sunday nighter, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live right here for it. Chicago Bears at Houston Texans, Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's get into the line history for this one. We'll start with this total. Total sitting at 45.5 right now at Pinnacle. It's right where it opened. Has not moved. It actually hasn't moved. At one point, there was a 1 cent move to the over, and it came back. So it has not moved. 45.5, slightly juiced to the under. Let's get into the spread here with this one. On the spread, we have a 7, not a legit 7. This opened up as a legit 7. This opened up -7 at even money for Houston, and then it got into plus money. This got up on Sunday night to plus 111. It was a 6.5. Now it's come down to plus 104. So just 4 cents of movement, or actually 5 for the Bears. They've gone from -112 to -117. They got up to -125 at one point, but they're -117 right now. Let's get into, okay, there we go. Let's get into I did the total. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. We have 10% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Texans. We have 28% of tickets and 55% of cash on the under. Somehow, the Chicago Bears are 1-0. Despite not scoring an offensive touchdown, Caleb Williams going 14 of 29 for 93 yards, the Bears pulled out a victory. In the Super Bowl era, Troy, teams that have scored 0 touchdowns and trailed by 17 or more points are now, thanks to the Chicago Bears, 3 and 1,225. That's what the Bears did.
Oh, that's sick. That is so fucking sick.
That's what the Bears did. DJ Moore led receivers with 5 catches for 36 yards. DeAndre Swift ran 10 times for 30 yards. The Bears defense stepped up in a big way. TJ Edwards was all over the field, 15 tackles and 2 for a loss. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. Tyreek Stevenson returned that pick, 43 yards for a touchdown. Jalen Johnson had an interception. Chicago finished with 148 yards of offense and got its only other touchdown on special teams. Hardy blocked a punt, and Jonathan Owens recovered it, returned it 21 yards for a score. Rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze sustained a left MCL sprain. He is week to week. He played 77% of Chicago's offensive snaps. He only had 1 catch for 11 yards. The Texans' offense looked dynamite in their 29-27 victory at Indianapolis to start the year. They've now won 9 straight road games in division. We've got to keep an eye on that. You know they're going to want to hit double digits on that. CJ Stroud was 24-32 for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins caught 6 passes for 117 yards, and their offseason acquisitions made a lot of noise. Stephon Diggs caught 6 passes for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know that 33 yards isn't much, but those were big touchdowns. And, you know, this is a contract year for him and for Nico. Joe Mixon, I underestimated him. A couple guys did this to me. He did it to me the worst, man. He ran 30 times for 159 yards after the negative shit I said about him. That's the highest single game rushing total since he gained 165 yards against Pittsburgh in November 2021. I mean, sometimes when you're wrong, you can be really wrong. And I guess hopefully it happens early in the season and not late in it. Texans had 26 first downs, put up 417 yards. They were 3 of 3 in the red zone, had the ball for 40 minutes. Pass rush needs to do more. They finished with 2 sacks. Those are the lone hits on Anthony Richardson. And as we talked about with the Colts game, the Colts put up 7 yards per play. The reason why the Texans won is because they ran 33 more plays than the Colts. Kalen Bullock had an interception. Take it away for us, Troy. Bears, Texans, Sunday night in Houston, Texas.
What a terrible beat for all you Texans or all you Titans backers. That was god awful and pretty disgusting to watch because I knew my good friends were on the Titans. So, and that's a lot to say, knowing that some of my family members are heavily invested in the Bears, but that's emotional. I'm more worried about what's affecting my pocket and your pockets. The offense was clearly not ready for the production that was expected by Bears Nation. The rookie quarterback who's expected to be the next Michael Jordan in a football form, who says he don't get nervous, was clearly rattled after just 1 possession. The offense was out of sync. Eberflus, I think he has too much input on that side of the ball. They have no real scheme. They have no formation sequencing. There's no fucking scheme. There's no rhyme or reason to the play calls, at least in my opinion. And the use of their weapons was obvious. I mean, if I was an offensive coordinator, I would just be watching Shanahan, Reed, and McVay just over and over and over to see what they're doing. The offensive line for the Bears surprisingly graded out top 10 in both pass blocking and run blocking. Still couldn't put up a touchdown. Just a pitiful performance from the offense. And obviously, I expect them to be better as the season goes on. They got a rookie quarterback, but is it here on the road against the Houston Texans? It's just hard to imagine it is. And the defense did exactly what I said it would, and that's exceed expectations. They have elite talent in the secondary. They graded out second in coverage and an underrated defensive line, top 5 in pass rush. I think that some of the projections preseason were not accounting for the depth. I think the defensive line has depth. And I know this was a Will Levis-led Titans, but I expect them to continue to outperform their expectations. And the Texans, I mean, it's always a battle between the Colts and the Texans. Both of these teams are teams I have high expectations for. Stroud is elite, and now he has apparently has a complementary running game, right? And if that's the case, if he has a running game to match the elite weapons and the offensive line, that's still not up to speed. But if they have that running game and they can lean on that, better put the league on notice, because this defense, I believe, will continue to get better week in and week out. I know that they allowed a lot of explosive plays against the Colts, and they graded out 24th or lower in overall D, run D, coverage, and pass rush. Does that speak to the Texans, or does that speak volumes about how good the Colts offense could potentially be? Yeah, the Bears are going to get better on offense over time. The Texans are going to be better on defense over time. It's a really tough number to get past. It's a big number with this Bears defense. I don't know how well they're going to hold up against these offensive weapons. I don't have an opinion on this game. I don't think I'll be betting it. I'm sure I'll find an angle, because I bet every primetime game pretty much. So we'll see how this develops later in the week.
Bears at Texans. I mean, Caleb Williams is going to have a better game here. It's easy to say that. And the Colts put up 7 yards per play against the Texans. Maybe Caleb got that horrific game out of the way with all the pressure on him, so expecting to be the superstar. And maybe he gets to roll in here kind of quiet, knowing that CJ Stroud is a superstar. And maybe the Bears are better here. At this point, I've not moved on it. Again, 6.5s are here. They're here at Bovada, and they're here at Pinnacle. Where do you need this line to end for you to move on Chicago?
That magical number 5, Jimmy. Give me a magical number 5, and suddenly,
or 5.5.
5.5, yeah. 5. Give me a 5.5. I won't move on it immediately. I want to see this close below that 6. And if I see that 6 moving towards the 5.5, I'll probably move on it. But I promise you, every game I see a line move from over 6, open over 6, and close below 6, I will be on that team. Money line as well.
Bears, Houston, Texans. I've not moved on this spot either. I want to see the market. We'll have our live stream here, so I don't mind going into it with no action. But for those of you watching this cut out of the show, I apologize for us having no action. Jeff Slaughter says Texans destroy.
Hey, do you think some cappers watch this show later in the week or during the week at some point, and they're like, wait, he's not going to take the 7? Like, they might not ever watch the show again after hearing what I just said, right? Not interested at a 7. No, I'm interested at 6 or below.
Well, we've discussed that heavily on the show, and you're not alone with that sentiment. Mr. Sean Higgs talking about that all the time as well.